Uh, Today we are going to read a chapter from Think Like a Monk by Shetty. Train your mind for peace and purpose every day. So today's topic is topic 7, the mind. When the five senses and the mind are still, when the reasoning intellect rests in silence, then begins the highest path, the Katha Upanishad. It is raining, though it's September and monsoon season is over. It it's coming down hard. I really need a shower before morning meditation. About 100 of my fellow monks and I arrived here in South India last night after a 2-day train ride from Mumbai. We had the cheapest tickets available, of course, sleeping in close quarters with strangers, and the bathroom were so foul that I decided to fast for the entire trip in order to avoid them. We are on a pilgrimage, studying in a warehouse type building near the seashore. After the morning meditation, we will go straight to the classes. So now is my best chance to shower. I ask for directions to the shower, and someone points to a wet, muddy, dirty pathway through the low shrubs. Through the low shrubs. It's about 20 minutes walk, he says. I look down at my flip flops. Great, my feet will get even dirtier on the way to shower than they are right now. What's the point? Another voice comes in my head. Don't be lazy. You have to get ready for the morning meditation. Just go take the shower. I duck my head and start down the path. Squelching through the mud, I try not to slip. Every step is unpleasant, not just because of the conditions, but because the first voice in my head keeps discouraging me, saying, see, you are getting muddy on your way to showers and you will get dirty again on the way back. The other voice urges me onward. You are doing the right thing. Honor your commitment. Finally, I reach the showers, a row of white stall. I open the door to one and look up. Rain pours down from the still dark sky. There's no roof. Seriously? I step into the stall and don't even bother to turn on the faucet. We bathe in the cool water anyway. And that's exactly what the rain is delivering. Standing in the shower, I wonder, what the hell am I doing? In this miserable excuse for a shower on the filthy train yesterday on this trip leaving this life, I could be dry and warm in a nice apartment in London right now, making £50,000 a year. Life could be so much easier. But as I walk back, the other voice returns with some interesting ideas about the values of what I have just accomplished. Going to the shower in the rain wasn't a notable achievement. It didn't require a physical strength or bravery, but it tested my ability to tolerate external difficulties. It gave me an idea of how much frustration I could handle in one morning. It may not have cleansed or refreshed me, but it did something more valuable. It strengthened my resolve. The monkey mind. In the Hitopadesa, an ancient Indian text by Narayana, the mind is compared to a drunken monkey that's been bitten by a scorpion and haunted by the ghost. We the humans have roughly 70,000 separate thoughts each day. Ernest Poppel, a German psychologist and neurologist, has shown, though, through his research, that our minds are only in present time, but about 3 seconds a time. Other than that, our brains are thinking forward and backward, filling in the ideas about the present time based on what we have experienced in the past and anticipated what is to come. As Lisa Fledman Barrett, author of the How Emotions Are Made, describes it on the podcast, most of the time, your brain is not reacting to the events in the world. It's predicting, constantly, guessing what's going to happen next. The Samyutta Nikaya describes each thought as a branch and our mind as monkeys swinging from one branch to the next, often aimlessly. This almost sounds like fun, but as we all know, it's anything but unusually those thoughts are fears, concerns, negativity, and stress. What will happen this week at work? What should I eat for dinner? Have I saved enough for the holiday this year? Why is my date 5 minutes late? Why am I here? These are all genuine questions that deserve answers, but none of them will be resolved while we swing from branch to branch, thought to thought. This is a jungle of untrained mind. The Dhammapada is a collection of verses probably collected by Buddha disciples. In it, Buddha says, and irrigators lead water where they want, and archers make their arrows straight. As carpenters carve wood, the wise shape their minds. So, again, I'm saying in it, the Buddha says, an irrigator lead water where they want, an archer makes their arrow straight. As carpenter carves wood, the wise shape their minds. True growth requires understanding the mind. It is the filter, judge, and director of all our experiences, but as evidenced by the conflict I felt on my shower adventure, we are not always of one mind. The more we can evaluate, understand, train, and strengthen our relationship with mind, the more successful we navigate our lives and overcome challenges. This battle in our mind is waged over the small daily choices. Do I have to get up right now? And the biggest, should I end this relationship? All of us face such battles every single day. A senior monk once told me an old Cherokee story about these dilemmas which all of us agonize over. An elderly tells his grandson, every choice in life is a battle between two wolves inside. One represents anger, envy, greed, fear, lies, insecurity, and ego. The other represents peace, love, compassion, kindness, humility, and positivity. They are com- competing for supremacy. Which wolf wins? The grandson asks. The one we freed, the elder replies. But how do we feed them? I asked my teacher. The monk said, but what we read and hear. By, uh, but how do we feel them? I asked my teacher. The monk said, by what we read and hear, by who we spend time with, by what we do with our time, by where we focus our energy and attention. The Bhagavad Gita states, for who has conquered the mind is the best friend, best of the friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his very mind will be the greatest enemy. The word enemy may seem too strong to describe the voice of dissent in your head, but the definition rings true. An enemy, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, is a person who is actively opposed or hostile to someone or something, and a thing that harms or weakens something. Sometimes our own mind works against us. They convince us to do something that makes us feel guilty or bad about it, often because it's gone against our values or morals. A pair of researchers from Princeton University and the University of Waterloo have shown that the weight of bad decisions isn't just metamorphical. Metamorphical. They asked metaphorical. Sorry. Uh, Waterloo has shown that weight of the bad decisions isn't just metaphorical. They are study. So, a pair of researchers from Princeton University and the University of Waterloo have shown that the weight of bad decisions isn't just metaphorical. They asked study participants to remember a time they had done something unethical, then asked them to rate their perception of their body weight. People who had been asked to recall an unethical action said they felt physically heavy than those who had been asked to recall a neutral memory. Other times, we want to focus on something, a project at work, an artistic endeavor, a home repair, a new hobby, and our mind just won't let us get around it. When we procrastinate, there's a conflict between what research call our should self, or what we feel we should do because it's good for us, and our want self, what we actually want to do in the moment. I know I should get started on the business proposal, but I want to watch the US Open quarterfinals. Before I became a monk, my own mind stopped me from doing what I loved because it was too risky. It allowed me to consume a chocolate bar and a liter of soda daily, even though I wanted to be healthy. It made me compare myself to other people instead of concentrating on my own growth. I blocked myself from reaching out to people I had hurt because I did not want to appear weak. I allowed myself to be angry at people I love because I care more about being right than being kind. In the introduction to this translation of Dhammapada, Eknath Ishwaran writes that in our everyday swirl of thoughts, we have no more idea of what life is really like than a chicken has before it hatches. Excitement and depression, fortune and misfortune, pleasure and pain are storms in a tiny, private, shell bound realm, which we take to be whole of existence. It makes sense then that when the Buddha finally reached the realm, utterly beyond the reach of thought, he described feeling like a chick breaking out of its shell. At the ashram, I learned something that has been crucial in curbing these dangerous self destructive thoughts. Our thoughts are like cloud passing by. The self, like the sun, is always there. We are not our minds. The parent and the child. As my teacher explained, visualizing the mind as a separate entity helps us work with our relationships with it. We can think of interacting as making a friend or negotiating peace with an enemy. As in any interaction, the quality of our communication with the mind is based on the history of our relation with it. As we hot headed, combatant, or stubborn and unwilling to engage? Do we have same arguments over and over again, or do we listen and compromise? Most of us do not know the history of this internal relationship because we have never taken the time to reflect on it. The monkey mind is a child, and the monk mind is an adult. A child cries when it doesn't get what it wants, ignoring what it already has. A child struggles to appreciate real value. It would happily trade a stock certificate for some candy. When something challenges us in some way, the childlike mind reacts immediately. Maybe you feel insulted and make a sore face, or you start defending yourself. A condition automatic reaction like this is ideal if someone pulls out a knife. You feel scared and you bolt. But it's not ideal if we are being emotionally defensive because someone has said something we don't want to hear. We don't want to be controlled by automatic reactions in every case, nor do we want to eliminate the child mind altogether. The child mind enables us to be spontaneous, creative, and dynamic, all invaluable qualities. But when it rules us, it can be our downfall. The impulsive, desire driven child mind is tempted by judicious, pragmatic adult mind, which says that's not good for you or wait until later. The adult mind reminds us to pause and assess the big picture, taking time to weigh the default reaction, decide if it's appropriate, and purpose other options. The intelligent parents know what the child needs versus what it wants and can decide what is better for it in the long term. Framing inner conflict this way, parent and child suggests that when the childlike mind is full in control, it's because our monk mind has not been developed, strengthened, or heard. The child gets frustrated, throws tantrums, and we quickly give in to it. Then we get mad at ourselves. Why am I doing this? What's wrong with me? The parent is the smarter voice. If we train it, if well trained, it has self control, reasoning power, and is debating jam. But it can only use strength that we give it. It's weaker when tired, hungry, or ignored. When the parent isn't supervising, the child climbs on the counter near the hot stove to get to the cookie jar, and trouble follows. On the other hand, if the parent is too controlling, the child gets bitter, resentful, and risk averse. As with all parent child relationships, striking the right balance is an ongoing challenge. This, then, is the first step of understanding our mind. Simply becoming aware of different voices inside us. Starting to differentiate with you are hearing will immediately help you make better decisions. Starting to differentiate what you are hearing will immediately help you make decisions. When you begin, okay, now another topic, drive the chariot of the mind. When you begin to sort out the multiple voices in your head, the level of conflict may surprise you. It doesn't make sense. Our mind should work in our own best interest. Why should we stand in our own way? The complications is that we are weighing input from different sources. Our five senses tells us what appears in the moment. Our memories recalling what we have experienced in the past, and our intellect synthesizing and evaluating the best choices for the long term. Beyond the parent-child model, the monk teachings have another analog for competing voices in our head. In the Upanishads, the working of the mind is compared to the chariot being driven by five horses. In this analog, the chariot is the body, and the horses are the five senses. The reins are the minds, and the chariotry is the intellect. Sure, this description of mind is more complicated, but bear with me. In the untrained state, the chariotry, the intellect, is asleep on the job. So the horses, the senses, have control of the reins, mind, and lead the body wherever they please. Horses left to their own devices react to what's around them. They see a tasty look shrub, they bend to eat it. Something startles them. They spoke. In the same way, our senses are activated in the moment by food, monkey, sex, power, influence, etc. If the horse are in control, the chariot veers off the road in the direction of the temporary pleasure and instant gratification. In the trained state, the charity, the intellect, is awake and aware and attentive, not allowing the horses to lead the way. The charity uses the rein of the mind to carefully steer the chariot along the correct route. Master the senses. Think about those five unruly horses harnessed to the chariot of a lazy driver, snorting and tossing their head impatiently. The five horses are sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and the mind controls all of them. And now it's up to our intellect what to do with all these. Okay, remember that they represent the five senses, always our first point of contact with the external. The senses are responsible for our desires and attachments, and they pull us in the direction of impulsivity, passion, and pleasure, destabilizing the mind. Monks calm the senses in order to calm the mind. Epima Chodron says, "You are sky, everything else it's just the weather." Shalian monks are wonderful examples of how we can train our mind to subdue the senses. Note, I never lived or trained as a Shaolin monk, although I might want to try. The Shaolin temple in China dates back more than 1500 years, and the Shaolin monks regularly demonstrate the impossible. They balance on the blade of a sword, break bricks with their head, and lie on the bed of nails and blades without apparent effort or engineering. It seems like magic, but Shaolin monks actually push their limit through rigorous physical and mental regimes. Children may begin study at Shaolin Monastery as early as age 3. They spend long days in training and meditation through breathing technique and Kyu Gong, an ancient healing technique. The monks develop the ability to accomplish superhuman feats of strength and to endure uncomfortable situations, from attack to injury. By cultivating their inner calm, they can ward off mental, physical, and emotional stress. It's not only Shaolin monks who have demonstrated the incredible sensory control. Researchers took a different group of monks, along with people who had never meditated, and screwed a thermal stimulator to their wrists, a device designed to induce pain through, through intense heat. The plate warms slowly, then stays at maximum heat for 10 seconds before cooling. During the experiment, as soon as the plate begins to heat, the palm metric is the non-monk brain started firing like crazy, as if the plate were already maximum heat. Researchers call this anticipatory and anxiety, and the monks showed none of it. Instead, a plate heated, their brain activity remained pretty much the same. When the plate reached full heat, activity in the monk's brain spiked, but only in the areas that register the physical sensation of pain. You see, for most of us, pain is twofold sensation. We feel some of it physically and some of it emotionally. For the monks, the heat was painful, but they didn't assign negative feelings to the experience. They felt no emotional pain. Their brain also recovered from the physical pain faster than non meditators. This is a remarkable level of sensory control, more than most of us are committed to developing. But do think about your senses as path to the mind. Most of our lives are governed by what we see, hear, smell, taste, uh, touch. If you smell your favorite dessert, you want to eat it. If you see a photo of beach, you start daydreaming about vacation. You hear a certain phrase and flash to the person who used to say it all the time. The monkey mind is reactive, but monk mind is proactive. Let's say that whatever you go on YouTube to watch one video, you end up going down a rabbit hole. You drift from a cute animal video to shark attack compilation, and before you know, it's you are watching scene evenings eating hot sauce with celebrity guests. Senses recklessly transport our mind away from where we want them to be. Don't tease your own senses. Don't set yourself up to fail. A monk doesn't spend time in strip club. We want to maximize the mind's reactive tendency, and the easiest way to do that is for intellect to proactively steer the senses away from stimuli that could make the mind react in the ways that are hard to control. It's up to the intellect to know when you are vulnerable and to tighten the reins, just as the cherry tree does when going through a field of tasty grass. A sensory input can trigger emotion, a tempting or upsetting or sad reminder that lures those wild horses off the charity's chosen path. Social media might suck away time you want to spend otherwise. A photo might remind you of lost friend in the moment when you don't have time for grief. An excess sweatshirt might re-break your heart. Within reason, I recommend removing unwanted sensory triggers from your home or deleting the apps. As you do, visualize yourself removing them from your mind. You can do the same thing when you hit an unwanted mental trigger, a word that you used to hear from a parent, a song from your past. Visualize yourself removing them from your life as you would a physical object. When you remove those mental and physical triggers, you can stop giving in to them. Needless to say, we can never remove all senses and all triggers, nor we want to. Our goal is not to silence the mind or even to still it. We want to figure out the meaning of thought. That's what helps us let go. But temporary, while we strengthen our relationship with our mind, we can take steps to avoid triggering places and peoples by adjusting what we see, listen to, read, and absorb. From a monk's perspective, the greatest power is self control. To train the mind and energy to focus on your dharma. Ideally, you can navigate anything that seems tough, challenging, or fun with the same balance and equanimity without being too excited in pleasure or too depressed by pain. Ordinarily, our brain turns down the volume on repeat input, but when we train our minds, we build the ability to focus on what we want regardless of distractions. Mediation, meditation Meditation is an important tool that allows us to regulate sensory inputs, but we can also train the mind by building the relationship between the child and adult mind. When a parent says, clean your room, and the child doesn't, that's like your monk mind saying, change your course, and the monkey mind says, no thanks, I would rather listen to the loud music on my headphone. If the parent gets angry at the child and says, I told you to clean your room, why haven't you done it yet? The child retreats further. Eventually, the child may follow orders, but exchange hasn't built a connection or dialogue. The more a frustrated parent and vigilant child do battle, the more alienated from each other they feel. When you are fighting an internal battle, your monkey mind is an adversary. View it as collaborator, and you can move from a battle to bond, from rejecting enemies to trusting to trusted friends. A bond has its own challenges. They can still be disagreement, but at least all parties want the same outcome. In order to reach such a collaboration, our intellect must pay close attention to the automatic reactive patterns of the mind, otherwise known as the subconscious.